What's up, everybody? How's it going? My name is Tom Dog 247, and I'm Tom Dog all day and Tom Dog all night. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a wonderful week last week, and I hope that you're gonna have a wonderful week at the end of this week, if that made any sense, because even I don't know what the hell I just said. Um, but yeah, welcome to Channel X here on YouTube. I'm having such a great time with this. Last week we had a pretty good turnaround, so now getting down to the nitty gritty right here. We're gonna have some fun here this evening. Um, do a laid back episode. Not much really to talk about in entertainment. So what I always like to do is just what I when I was doing my cable access shows, I used to fart around a little bit, and but it's kind of difficult because I'm doing it on because I when I was doing a laid back episode, it was phenomenal, and we were doing it on and we were just take random live call-ins. But here, since I'm doing it on a taped basis, it kind of um diminishes that a little bit, just like But hey, some negatives, but you know what? We got some positives out of it because you know what? You get to put up with me, unfortunately, right? So, um, what I always used to do on my cable access show was do a drink of the night, and since I did one last, really kind of did one last week because I was drinking beer, I figured why not do another drink of the night, and so tonight's drink of the night, you guessed it, Jaeger, and it just so happens I have the shot right here. So So this is the first time I actually drank alcohol. Well, I drank alcohol on the show, but I couldn't drink it at the studio. Otherwise, I would have gotten fired. Um, and of course, my show would have been canceled. So here's to ya, Sláinte. Been a while since I've had Jägermeister. It's actually not that bad. Tastes like cough syrup, which is why I love it. And yes, I am washing it down with another beer. Oh, there, that feels better. um, yeah, I'm showing off the T-shirt that I did in the Loot Crate unboxing yesterday. For those of you who missed it, you can check it out on my page if you liked and subscribed to it. I hope. Um, if you did, Um, so so yeah, this is the actual shirt that I showed off. I didn't really show it off on the Loot Crate unboxing, and I did apologize for that. But I did make a promise to myself that I was going to wear it um on the on a future episode of Channel X, which happens to be today. So, um, and welcome to the first night of summer, and which is, I guess, solstice or salsa or solace. I haven't seen Quantum of Solace yet, so um, speaking of that, I noticed that I haven't seen any. Speaking of the James Bond films, I've seen all of them except from when um what the hell is that actor's name? Um, the new one, the new one. He took over. Um, from Casino Royale and to Quantum of Solace. And hold on a second. Yeah, I'm on my Xbox. Yeah, I'll probably check it out later. Um, oh, Daniel Craig. Sorry, I'm a little spaced out, man. I'm a little spaced out. Um, because I'm just so excited to be back and but being back to do this show, I'm really excited for, and it's a lot of fun. This show is a lot of fun, but I got a little bit of stage rust. So, but it is pretty cool. It's all right. So, yeah, I've been out of the game for a while, so it takes some time to remember, because my show was pretty crazy. And speaking of that, I want to give a personal shout. I want to give a special shout out to a loyal cable access show host, Mr. Speedo. He sent me a tweet um, after last week's episode, and he actually saw it, and he wanted to know when I was going to dance again, and it's kind of limited to do it on here because of the fact that YouTube um it's kind of like changing their standards and practices when it comes to music content. So I have to be careful, um, which is probably why you won't even hear my. For those of you who have heard me sing, unfortunately, um, I've I've written a little song back in 2001, and I use some um some cuts from Rapper's Delight, but just for fun, and I didn't like promote it in any way or anything like that. So to me, I think it's my own uh, single. So in a way, I was kind of a bit of a one-hit wonder. And once again, I do apologize for the um, if it happens to fade in and out. It's not your television or your computer. It's the fact that I'm using a cell phone at the moment. So I, I have to be careful. So I don't have the equipment to be more high tech like all the other guys out there in YouTube land. So I'm pretty much doing this show low budget. So I would like to get some sponsorships. That would probably help me out in the long run and get some more viewers going in here. Um, that's one of pretty much one of my goals is to be successful, and I'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. And you know because this is what I love to do, and make a fool out of myself um, at everyone's expense. So I love doing that. um, so, but yeah, going back to the T-shirt, I did the Loot Crate unboxing. If you haven't subscribed to it, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Especially when I did the unboxing yesterday, the other day, or whatever day it was. If this goes out today, it's a Saturday. Um, but who knows when I get this all edited out, it will probably be on starting next within the next 24 hours. But if you haven't subscribed to Loot Crate, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. And I started subscribing to Loot Crate back in January, and so next month is going to be looking pretty cool, and I can't wait to see that. And so this is my way to showing off the T-shirt that came in with about you get T-shirts, you get other stuff too, like Jake over there. I finally figured out the guy's name. I haven't watched a lot of Adventure Time. I only saw like maybe one or two episodes, and but you know other time constraints and everything like that. I just didn't have time to watch it, but I'll probably check it out on demand and everything like that. And plus also this Domo Superman. This was in my first Loot Crate. this one right here, the hex bug, that I showed off on Loot Crate episode 6, my Tom Dog unboxes um number 6. This was the one that came into it, and yes, you're seeing an image of yourself as well, so video image, so you can, so that plainly sees that I'm not bullshitting when I say that I'm doing this on my cell phone. So yeah, here you go, the bug right there, and it's a transformer, Autobot Drift. So this can actually interact with other hex bugs to battle out, I guess. So it's pretty cool. I never owned a hex bug up until now, and I was always interested in getting one, but I never had the opportunity to get one. And now, since I do have one, um, I think it's something that I will cherish forever. And I most likely I will not open that, for nostalgic purposes. So, but who knows what the future may hold. Um, but yeah, so if you haven't subscribed to Loot Crate, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. We're not sure what's going to be the theme um for next month, for July. I'm pretty interested in seeing what's going to happen on that, and they're not going to disappoint at all. Loot Crate comes out with some the best stuff I've ever seen, and this is like, it's like Christmas every single month, and I just want to give a shout out to Loot Crate, um, for bringing in such one hell of a great product. And if I had my hat on, I would take it off. Take my hat off to you. You guys, you guys don't fail at all. Um, sometimes they can be. There comes a time where it's not their fault. It's not Loot Crate's fault if it happens to show up in your mail late. Um, it's just the way it's been packaged and everything like that. And the mailman. I had an issue with my mailman, and apparently it was still at the post office, and they couldn't even see it. They couldn't even see it. This was how big the box was. This was how big the box was, and I'm like, how can you not see this? How can they not see this at all? You got this right here. How could you not see that? I mean, really, how could you not see that? I mean, you guys are ridiculous. And the post offices, but I always get my Loot Crate on time, but the post office was pissing me off. So it's like, well, we had a fill-in driver, and it's not his normal route. I'm like, and come to find out, it was buried underneath all the other underneath a lot of shit. So, and they could not see it because they said, "Oh, the box is too small. The box is too small. They can't see it." My middle finger's bigger than that, and they were able to see that. But that's our beloved post office, and that's the thing about the post office, is that they're getting a bad rap lately, and they really cannot um take any errors, because it's slowly depleting. It's slowly decaying, and it's a major disease. I mean, and if they're not careful, we will never see a post office ever again. Never will. But you have to be careful. Post office have to be careful with that. Um, I did hear this past week near the end of the week that say the syndicated sitcom Saved by the Bell is going to be made into a movie. Now, at first, I thought it was going to be on the big screen, but um, upon further research of this news that broke out, it's actually going to be on Lifetime television for women, folks. This used to be Lifetime television for women. So I guess they didn't have Meredith Baxter Burney to work with. So you ever seen a movie on Lifetime? I mean, it's like it's always with Meredith Baxter Burney. And I'm not knocking her down or anything. I'm not. Hold on, my mouth is dry. I'm not knocking her down or anything like that, but it seems like she always do. It seems like Lifetime is always showing a movie, always have a Lifetime original movie that stars her. So, and but I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they didn't go one step further. You know, really dig deep. Really dig deep with Meredith Baxter Burney's um personal life, and because everyone knows that she recently, I think like a few years ago, I think she came out. Um, so she is a lesbian. So I was like, damn, I was shocked. I mean, it took me by surprise because I never expected um Mrs. Keaton from the Family Ties because she played Mrs. Keaton. She played Mrs. Keaton on Family Ties. It never struck me that she would be a lesbian, but she now has my attention. So, but kudos to her and for coming out. I mean, she had she shows a lot of courage and it was bottled up in her inside and everything like that. And hey, but you know what? We still love her no matter what. But yeah, but Lifetime is going to be doing a Lifetime original movie based on Saved by the Bell. And from what I heard, um, it's going to be like that made for TV movie. It's going to be like when they did the docudrama on going to be like that docudrama um when they did when they brought back Adam West and Burt Ward and some of the famous couple of villains um Frank Gorshin and Lee Merriweather when they were doing a backstory on doing a docudrama on the Batman television series that was done in the 60s. Um, I think it's something I think that's what they're going to go with, but um, I was kind of hoping I'm actually kind of glad that it's going to be somewhere around that route because I really don't want to see that on the big screen. Only because I don't want to see Vanessa Hudgens play Kelly Kapowski. No. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. You know, but no offense to Vanessa Hudgens. She's pretty crazy. And but know that we still like her. Um, Kind of ruined her Disney career, huh? Oh man. But I think I touched base. I think I touched base with the last week that um that there's going to be a sequel in the works, and that SpongeBob SquarePants. Um, their movie did so well the first time, in spite what people may have thought of it. Um, it's going to get a sequel, and I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm actually looking forward to seeing another SpongeBob movie because SpongeBob is a really cool show, and we had a lot of, and I just love watching SpongeBob, and I don't care. It goes to show it doesn't matter how old you are. If you see a cartoon that you want to get hooked on, then there's your show. And but hey, we most of us were like that. Most of us were like that when Ren and Stimpy came on and Beavis and Butthead back in the '90s. So hey, does not matter, folks. Does not matter. As long as you're having fun. You could be the judge of what you want to put there where my finger was. So it could be a nip, it could be a titty. Be creative, folks. If you have fun. Oh man. See, I can get away with a lot of stuff that I could not get away with on cable access, and that's a weird thing too. That was like a weird thing too. Yeah, we couldn't get away with a lot of stuff. You couldn't. There were like some boundaries. I'll let you in on some of them. I'll share with my stories of my time on cable access. I think this will be perfect for this laid back episode. This way, you'll get to know a little bit more about me. Even though by next week you're gonna say, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Even in public, I say, "You're that guy on that video I've seen on YouTube." It's like you're that guy. Hey, probably a lot better than me going in public and saying, "Hey, you're that guy on TV." I hope that came on camera. I hope that came on camera. And if it didn't, I just want to let you all know that I farted. So, but anyways, which was one of the things I could not really do on cable access. There was at one point where I did fart on a live program, and which turned out to be my last because I kind of, you know, it kind of stuck up the microphones that we had, and there were these little microphone clips that attach to your shirt. Sometimes, sometimes you could put it underneath your shirt, loop it over your collar, and hang it that way. And but I just happened to have another one, an extra one laying around, and I was just gonna go ahead and just rip a nice one. So I was apparently that was the first and last time I was able to do that. Another thing that I was not able to do, and that was which was called erotic fondling. Now, what that was that you couldn't touch yourself inappropriately, even if you were just holding your chest and going, even if you were just doing that. Apparently, that was called apparently to them it was erotic fondling. I licked my nipple. You heard it right. I licked my nipple live on television one day, and that was the reason for me not to do. So apparently, I thought I had a loophole. I thought it was a loophole because all I did was grab that titty and stretch on my neck and licked away at it. But apparently, that was a form of erotic fondling, and I couldn't. And again, that was one of the first and last times that I was able to do so. So hopefully one day I'll be able to do that. My unorthodox dancing, if you want to call it that. Um, I could not. I could dance. I was allowed to dance, but I couldn't do a striptease. The only thing I really got away with when it came to that was there would be times where I would just take off my shirt, and that was it. But there were also times, as I mentioned earlier, that I used to dance with inanimate objects, and that was one of the things. Well, to me, I called it humping because, of course, my gimmick name is Tom Dog. So, dog's got to hump something. That was the whole gimmick. I dance with bushes, not trees, Mister Speedo. Let's get that right, buddy. It was bushes because I love me some bush. Um, Everyone says it's trees because they kind of look like trees, but they're not trees. They were bushes because if that was a tree, it would it would stand nearly 50 feet tall, or like 25 to from 25 to anything over 50 feet is considered a tree. But this was like I would say like 35. Trees in my neighborhood are like 35 feet tall, give or take. I don't know. The only trees I'm measuring is the ones I smoke, which I haven't done that in a long time. I'm just waiting for it to officially become legal so that I can legally get weed through medical reasons and smoke it here without no problem. That would be a funny YouTube video. Just me sitting right there, smoking a joint. Yeah. Mm. Hey, welcome to Channel X. I would love to do that if given the opportunity. But, probably on here there's some limits, so maybe I can just drink a beer and just be done with it. But yeah, you couldn't smoke, which that was which I kind of leaned towards, which I was understandable about that because hey, there was actually a lot of stuff in there that would cause a fire. There were like curtains in the background, and shit like that. I mean, you've seen the video that's on here. It's on my YouTube page. All you have to do is like and subscribe if you haven't. Like and subscribe right there. But it's going to be mostly right here on this side. On this side. Not over here because that's the share button. I mean, you could share with your friends and say, hey, check out this asshole. You know? But, this button's also cool too. The subscribe button. I mean, this is also cool. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. Um, so I kind of I was okay with that. There was at one point where we were allowed to swear until I pretty much basically confirmed that on how bad of an idea that was. I mean, at the time, because I was like, fuck this and fuck that. It it was bad. It was bad. but I won't. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I am going to take all the credit for it because there was a lot of shows that did far more worse stuff than I did, and that's why they're not on anymore, and banned from the studio from it too. So, um, and one of those reasons why they were banned is because you could not advertise. You could not. There was no advertise. Even if you had a sponsor. Here's the thing that didn't get me. Even if you had a sponsor doing a cable access, while you're doing a cable access show, you could not advertise. You couldn't like do a you couldn't even do like a 30-second promo on a live broadcast, no less, and say, hey, so and so for this much, get it today. Couldn't even do that. You couldn't even do that. And I just like the fact. I just love the fact that YouTube is allowing people like me to say, "Hey, check out the shit I got on Loot Crate." I love I love that. I love that. As long as I'm pretty much as long as I'm not probably mentioning any prices, I'm sure people will ask me, well, how much you paid for it? And I'm like, how much you paid for that subscription? I mean, I'll tell them, but I won't mention publicly on here, on that. I'm just trying to get some sponsors. So to get, to pretty much boost up this this channel's potential that it could have. It could have. I mean, the only thing that's got the most views so far is the one where I'm doing the wing challenge at Buffalo Wild Wings. That's the only video that's drawing more attention on than anything. So even though it has 30, even though the 33 people have seen it, um, even though 33 people have seen it, still that's still a high, that's still a pretty good number. Yeah, it's a low. Yeah, that could be a low showing for a lot of you guys, who see videos on YouTube and you see like hundreds of thousands of viewers per day, and it's this is a growing process. I'm a rookie, so you can't expect to get a shitload of people within one day, unless of course you do have the know-how to do that, and you do it and you promote your channel in any way best that you can. But I only have close to 30 likes on my Facebook page. Right. Um that's but I feel that if I was allowed to advertise on cable access, I think that I would get some recognition. I really could. I really do think so. Even though I had a lot of even though I had a few sponsors already. Um Actually a couple. There's a nightclub not too far from where I live, in Connecticut. Um there's a nightclub called Illusions, which is a country nightclub. They play like country music and shit like that, and they have a mechanical bull. You know, they have a mechanical bull, folks. Come on, how can you not pass that up? I mean, if you ever get a chance to go there, I gotta stop in one of those days and say how. I'm sure they're always asking for me because I'm pretty sure they're going to be the first thing they're going to say. What the hell happened to your show? We don't see you on cable access anymore. I said, well, I need a director. That's another thing that got me. You couldn't do a live show. You couldn't do a live show if you did not have a director. Me, I was the executive producer of my own show, which I still am, because you know what? Hey, I'm the freaking boss. But my director couldn't fulfill his duties, and and I respected that, and I said, all right, let's do what you got to do, and but I kind of screwed myself over because of the fact now that I have no director. Now that I have no director, I couldn't do a show. So I had to call up. I had to call up the studio's director and the studio's CEO and say, "Hey, listen, I can't do a show because I have no director. So I have no choice but to cancel my show, which is why I'm not on cable access now. I haven't been on cable access for over 2.5 years now. Actually, 3 years. Sorry, 3 years. Um, I haven't been on for 3 years, and I kind of miss that. Um, I really do. I kind of miss that feeling. But yeah, man, that kind of sucked too. That kind of sucked that you couldn't have a director. You couldn't have the and the thing about that with my show was fairly easy because I only had one camera, one music camera, and it was stationary, just like what you're seeing right here. This is how I used to do my show per week on a live basis. Was just sitting on my ass right here for 30 minutes. And I know it's a little bit longer here because, hey, it's YouTube. And that's another thing that which I will touch base in a minute. But this is how I was for 30 minutes. For actually 28 minutes, excuse me. Couldn't do 30 minutes because that was overtime. But I couldn't so I was just stationary like this. I said, why? I hardly had any I hardly had any graphics. It was also low budget to a standpoint, and everything was stationary right there. Everything was right there. The phone, the only graphic that we ever had, going back to some of that footage, was that I had the phone number right here. Sometimes, if there was computer problems, there would be no number, and I would have to draw on it write the number on a Sharpie and put it right there, for everybody to see. So, but before the show, but before every show, there was only one thing I loved about that Sharpie. When we had to write the phone number on a Sharpie was before each show, I would take a whiff of that magic mark. I would take a whiff of that Sharpie, just to get a little buzz before we went on the air. So it was like a quick jolt before I went on. And I used to drink a lot of energy drinks too, so which got me going. And one particular episode, sorry to touch base on travel off course there. Um, excuse me, burping. Anywho, there was one particular episode where I had the drink of the night, which was one of the energy drinks. I think it was Nas, the Nas energy drinks. This was the one that looked like one of those nitrous oxide tanks. Those nitrous those nitro booster tanks that you see the boost up the cars and shit like that. For street racing. Um, so yeah, I did that. I drank one of those, and I also had a medium iced coffee, French vanilla, 8 sugars, very little milk. So I was pretty hyper that day. It was by far one of the most funniest episodes I've ever done. But which was kind of my last. I was allowed to get away with that. I was because you could drink something on there. You could drink something on there, but it couldn't be alcohol. It couldn't be you couldn't drink beer. You couldn't drink booze or anything like that. Any form of alcohol or any alcoholic beverage you cannot drink on the show, unless you were doing a wine tasting episode. That was the catch. You can drink something. You could drink something, but it had to be a wine tasting episode. Oh, gee, how wonderful! I get the taste of wine and spit it in a bucket. I would just cheat and say, "Oops, I forgot to spit." What am I in a fucking dentist's office? But that was the thing. We could not do that. So I was kind of upset about that. So I mean, but I was able to drink before the show. And there was a thing that was the only cool thing about it. Me and my crew, whenever I went and did my show, before the show started, I would go there a little bit. I would go extremely early and have a slice of pizza at the pizzeria that was right next door to the studio that we were working at, and have a beer and discuss what we were going to do with the show. And that was amazing. But here's the funny part. Here's the funny part that really got me. Soon as I left, soon as I left, business at that pizzeria went down. I'm not saying that maybe I should have stayed on the air, but I had no choice because I had no director. But if I still had a director, I think that place still would have been open because of me. I'm just saying, I'm not stroking my ego because you know what? That's a form of erotic fondling, which YouTube can't really do. You can't fondle yourself while you're on here. I mean, which is too bad for me because you're probably doing it right now. And how I can't see you, but yet you can see me and just fondle away. That's that's no fun. It's so bad. But yeah, here I am holding this beer throughout this whole little shoot that I just did, and I was just holding. I haven't even drank one sip of it yet, and I was about to put it down. What the hell's the matter with me? See, this is what happens when I'm suffering from withdrawals from doing cable access, and I know some of you on the comments down below are going to be like, "Who wants to go back on cable access?" No, I will not, because I have a voice and I want to be able to use it. God damn it! There, I saved you a comment. I saved you a question. But yeah, couldn't advertise, you couldn't smoke, you couldn't drink. But that was actually fun that I was able to show up to every before every show, get to sit down with my crew, have a slice of pizza, and just talk and just be like some of the be like a bunch of grown men sitting at a mom and pop deli, having a latte or having something to drink or something like that. Having a cannoli or some shit like that, and just having a good, just sitting back and just enjoying yourself. And that was the best part about me and my crew, was that the fact that we were able to go next door to that pizzeria and just have a slice, have a beer, and just talk. Even if it had something to do with what we were going to talk about on that particular episode. So, but yeah, and another thing, you couldn't swear on there. You couldn't swear. Like I said, there was one time, one time that I was able to swear, but they quickly, because they finally realized that it was such a bad idea and it wasn't best for business. So I was like, yeah. So I kept it bottled inside until I started driving home and having to deal with assholes on the road. So that was a good time, and it was good for me to do a live setting because of the fact that um a live setting because of that. And there was another thing that we could not do, which was added after my first suspension, and that was huffing. Apparently, and I'm going to tell you the story about that. What happened was this one particular episode, a member of my studio audience, yes, I had a studio audience, limited at best, because it was too many people would have been a fire hazard. Um, the re so a member of my audience had a bottle of bottle of nail glue, which was, I would say, about half the size of this shot glass. Um, so she handed it to me, and me being curious, because I never smelt a feminine product before. I never smelt like makeup, like nail polish, nail glue, whatever, like that. So I was curious of what the aroma was going to be like. Excuse me. Um, so I took a quick whiff of it, and I will reenact the thing just right on here. Smells nice. That's all I did. That's all I did was like this. I didn't go like this and go like that. I did not do that. I just went just like this. That's a wonderful aroma. I never smelt that before, and I'm glad I did. There was a cable advisory board, which was called the GWCC, which stood for Greater Waterbury Cable Council. What they were was kind of like what the FCC does with broadcast television, with cable television, paid cable television. There's another thing which I will touch base to in a minute. They saw that video. They saw that episode of me sniffing that thing. I was smelling like nothing. Like it was nothing. Oh, it was a nice aroma. But they thought that I was huffing it, which I was inhaling the aroma to get high. Some Jaeger residue on my fingers. Anywho, so the GWCC called them up on the phone and said to my boss and said, "Hey, this Tom character did a bad thing on his program." What did he do? He took a bottle of nail glue and put it to his nose and sniffed at it. They took it the wrong way. They pretty much embezzled the truth. They pretty much embezzled the truth when it came to that. And they basically told him, I say, "You get him off the air." Now, apparently, when my boss called me up and said, "Hey, what did you do on my what happened on last night's show? I need to get to the bottom of this." I personally explained to him, and I still have we both even to this day we still have a lot of respect for each other, which I will get to in a minute, which I will get to shortly, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it for next week's episode. I don't know. But the thing that got me was that it's like, no, I didn't sniff it or anything like that. I sniffed it, but I did not inhale. I was only smell, and I'm saying this is what I said to him. This is the exact words I said. No, I did not inhale. I was only sniffing the aroma. I was only sniffing that on the bottle because I never smelt it before. And you know me, if I was high after one fucking sniff, after one measly little fucking sniff,
There was absolutely no way that you could get high. Absolutely no way, unless you have a very weak immune system, and you're about the size of when you're like as skinny as Kate Moss was back in 1996. That was the thing that got me. That they said, well, still doesn't matter. We still have no choice but to cancel your show. And well, how long am I canceled for? For a year. And I was pissed. I was literally pissed. I said, well, can I talk to the GWCC so we can resolve this and maybe lift my suspension a little bit, and to to do so, instead of having to go for Mourinho, because I think a year suspension is ludicrous. I really do think so. They said no, they don't want to talk to you. I was pissed because they didn't want to talk. They didn't want to talk with me. They didn't want to talk to me directly as a human being. Instead, they wanted to be a fucking pussy and say to the CEO, the boss of the studio, and say, "Hey, get this guy off the air." And I think that that's a farce. And when I returned, oh, it was hell. It was literally hell. I pretty much basically trashed the GWCC every fucking chance that I got. Every chance that I got. And I would verbally insult them. Even if it went as far as to getting canceled again, I took that chance and I went and insulted them. I really did, because of the way they chose to not be a man. And I even said this on an episode, um, upon my return back in 2002, in the middle of 2002. I basically, I mean, not 2002, but 2005, 2005, 2006, 2007. Yeah, 2007, 2006. I'm sorry. I'm bad with dates, except for having a date, going out on a date, which is my girl loves me so much. Anywho, um, so I go and say that, I go and say that, and I just basically trashed them every moment that I got. I I publicly, verbally humiliated them at any level that I could, and I I I probably went as far that say, hey, this guy's got to be careful what he says. He'll get suspended again. But I knew my limits. I really knew my limits. Um, but I even went as far as one particular episode where I did say um, that the GWCC was Satan, and if you sold out to the GWCC, it's like selling your soul to the devil. I did say that one time, and I've done shoots on them too, live on the air on the upon my return. But then I got suspended again because my co-host at the time was technically banned because of a spin-off show that she was hosting, came in to the studio live on my time and drink and she reeked of vodka. She started grabbing her chest. Thank God she didn't strip, because I probably would have been banned right there. And she was cussing up. She was like, "What the?" I was saying under my breath, so that it wouldn't show up on live. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, oh my god. And, you know, this is the reason why I'm balding, because of that incident. And I was running a little bit late. I was running a little bit late to the studio, anyways, because I got out late at my job that I was doing and I had to close down. Even though I did tell them that I needed to get out early, but my stupid boss at the time decided to punch me out at had me punch out at 9, because my show started at 10 o'clock, and I was in another town, and to get there I had to be there in 30 minutes. And I bolted. I literally bolted, and I was exhausted because it was a very busy night. Number one, it was a very busy night, unusual on a Thursday night, and so I was completely drained. I was like, should I just take the day, and just call up the studio and say, hey, I'm not going to make it. I probably should have. And just take a reprimand, because all of my shows were live. I was allowed 2 day offs of the show. I was allowed 2 day offs. If I was out for the third one, I would be canceled for the rest of the season and then come back. That was stupid. That was a stupid rule. That was a real stupid rule. I don't even know the rules. I mean, I do, but some of them haven't changed. But then all of a sudden, but she reeked of vodka. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I was canceled because of that incident. I was canceled because of that incident. And I just came back from suspension 2 seasons prior. And I was mad. I was madder than hell. But even though I was executive producer, I had to take responsibility for that because I was executive producer. But she was not supposed to be at the studio. She wasn't supposed to be at the studio, number one, because her show got her banned from the studio because she advertised, she was cussing, and she was being uncontrolled. She was being out of control. After she did her own thing on her own show and everything like that, but still have a tenure on my show, I was literally pissed. And I was like, and I called her up and I said, well, thank you very fucking much. She was like, well, what happened? I got canceled because of your ass. Because of your drunk ass. Oh, I don't remember being drunk. How can you not remember that you were being drunk? You were smelling of vodka. And I know what vodka smells like because I had a customer come in one time and reeking of vodka. Oh man, I was pissed. I was literally pissed. And she like apologized. I said, well, I have the tape right here if you want to see it. What I should have done was just, but I made a bad judgment call for letting it prolong. But I made a bad judgment call on that particular episode because of the fact that, number one, I was tired, so I didn't have time to go get my energy drink or my coffee or whatever to keep me alert and everything like that. So throughout the whole show, that show sucked. That particular episode sucked. And I never really had a bad episode. Up until that point. So, I mean, there were some weak. There were at times some weak spots, but hey, we persevered. But you don't go and do that to to a person who brought you. Here's another thing. I brought her into the world of cable access because she was a fan of my show from the get-go. She was a fan from the beginning. So I brought her in and I said, hey, have a seat. We'll have so that you get to see what's going on and everything. We'll have you on for next week. We'll start putting you on starting next week. That was what I did because before I just put them out into the world, I let them experience it behind camera. So that kind of pissed me off that she would betray me like that. And after and after all that I've done for her to be a co-host, and then give her her own show, I don't talk to her. I don't talk to her now because of other reasons, but which should not be said on here. But I was pissed off. I was pissed off about it. I was pissed off about it, and I stopped talking. I really lost contact with her. I can care less what she's doing now. But oh well. But that was in the past. I'm more focused on the future of Channel X and where it's going to go, because only I can make that happen, and I can end it if I want to. I really can. I can just come up one day and say, "Hey, fuck everybody! I'm not doing another taping." But that wouldn't be fair because I'm not like that. Because this show is actually your show. This is your show. A chance to connect with everybody and be social about it and have a good time. Drink up if you can. This is what I love to do. And for people like that to take it away from me, to try and shatter my dream, I became a better person after that when I came back. Because I started doing shows on Justin.tv. And there were at times where some people would say, "Oh, why would you say Justin.tv? Why can't you just say JTV?" Because JTV is another name of a program. Selling jewelry. JTV. Jewelry television. But JTV is this other channel, and I actually have it on Justin.tv. I actually have shows on there. Believe it or not, I actually have shows on there. All of them from 2011, from the 2011 season. I tried to put them on here on YouTube, but I just couldn't. I was lucky to get the very first episode from 2000, the first episode from 2011 on the YouTube channel, so that you'll know what it's like, what I had to do at the studio. And I did that. And it's something I feel passionate about. I really did. But and I was so thrilled. I was able to do that and had a lot of recognition. And there were times where people said, "Well, why don't you just change the way you do your show?" I'm like, "Why? Why would I change anything?" And there was a lot of constructive criticism on on how the, on how I on how my show should be done. And I always say to them, I said, at the end, I'm the executive producer. I'm the executive producer. I make the decisions of what I want to share with the public. And it's something that I feel passionate about. I shouldn't have to change anything for anybody. And that was the thing. And I had a lot of fun doing that because of the fact that I didn't listen to what people told me on how to do my show, because that's not their show to control. And it probably ended some outings with a few people, but and in the end, we buried the hatchet and we became good people for it. We really did. Because in the end, I became the bigger man because I didn't listen to nobody. Because if I did, my show would suck. if I did, my show would suck. I would just be sitting there for 28 minutes going, "Hi, welcome to Channel X. My name is Tom. How are you today? Today's drink of the night will be water." That was wider for me. That was a lot wider than me too. That was like albino white. That was. That really was, man. That was powder white. Um, but yeah, the thing about the 28 minutes, I was only able to do that. A lot of executive producers had to do, and if you were taped, you can have an hour if you want to. You can have that out. Oh no, we couldn't. We couldn't even do that. We couldn't even do that because you can't have that feel. You can't have an hour show and not have that live feeling to it because at a tape show, there's cut, edit this, program that, and you know what? I do that here, but you know what? I do this show in one take. Not too many people could do that on a tape basis. I can do this show in one tape. No, and if you notice, there's no paper. There's no paper. You know what's here? A fucking chair. That's all that's here. A chair and some shit behind me. This here is a wall. In between here, just the camera and a freaking space to hold my legs up. Because I feel like chilling. But I have no piece of paper. There's nothing here next to me. There's nothing here next to me on either side. There's nobody in the back holding up cue cards. There isn't. I'm doing this shit by myself in my room in a closed space. I would show you my room, but it's messy right now. I'm not ashamed. It's a little messy right now. But that's the thing. But that's the thing. I couldn't be live for an hour if I wanted to. I thought that was shameful of them to not do that. And there was a specific time to air their programming, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. or sometimes to 11 p.m. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do. There wasn't no long basis because you couldn't have a show that was on for longer at a certain specific timeline. They weren't that cable company to do so. They weren't that cable station to do so because this was only cable access, not public access. Public access has 24-hour viewing, and they get their and the only way they stay on the air, PBS. The only way that PBS stays on the air is through donations, and those are fucking crazy. Those things are so crazy. I guarantee, and the thing is that we never got paid to do any of this shit. We never got paid. This was a volunteer effort, and the stuff that I did should have gotten some cheddar. Really should have, because I bet you, if there was any funding, if there was any sort of funding going into the studio that I was working for, I guarantee you, every executive producer would have gotten paid, and everybody that was doing their respective shows would have gotten paid, and everyone would have had a good time about it. Maybe I would say like maybe $50 a show, at best. $50 a show. That's like $200 a month for 13 weeks. But I'm actually kind of glad that I'm not doing a cable access show anymore because of the fact that the reason why is because of the fact most of the shows on there are political or religious. Two of those things, political or religious. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there was an abundance. There was an abundance of, listen, here's an even out scale. Politics and religion. Here's the entertainment. The sports and entertainment right up here. Religion and politics right here. And they used to do these award shows whenever they could. They had these award shows, and I still hold the record for most nominations and did not get a single trophy for it. Because back then I was doing a wrestling show. I was doing a wrestling talk show. And I felt passionate about wrestling, and this was back I started doing that back in 96. In the fall of 96. And I was very passionate about that. I was really, really passionate about that because it was during the time of the Attitude Era. And their bitter feud with WCW, between the WWE and WCW at that time. So my show was up for 6 nominations. 6. That has not been broken since. To this day, it still holds the record for most nominations. But every category that I was nominated for, I didn't get a goddamn trophy. You know who got the trophies? Anyone that had to do with politics. Now, sports program, we had some stiff competition because I was up against another show. I was up against 2 other shows. And they had a pretty good show, but I'm one of the new guys. So I kind of left that slide. On location program, I should have got bet for best on location program because most of my product was on location because we were doing shows from sports bars and showing independent wrestling. That wrestling show that I did back then brought in helped bring independent wrestling into Waterbury because everybody was interested in seeing independent wrestlers make their mark and say, "Oh, look at that guy. We're going to see him in WWE or WCW anytime soon." At that time, now it's just WWE. And but yeah, I should have at least gotten an award for that. You know what got an award for? You know, there was an on location show that just did trying to remember. But anyways, had to deal with something. And it was on location. I could have at least gotten that one. Best now every show was nominated for the big one, which was best in show. You know, the best in show, which was best program ever. I knew I had no chance of winning that one because you know who won? A political show. The next award show, a political show. Most of the trophies that were handed out to the winners were all political based shows, which made me think, even in 2009 when they had the last one back in 2009, which made me think that someone was buying off was buying off all the potential ballots to make that political show number one. And you know who won? Our mayor at that time. Our city's mayor walked out with 2 or 3 awards that night. Because even though he was running our city, he was also doing cable access shows to speak to the general public. Hey, that's not a bad idea. But you know what? I bet you any amount of money that he was selling out those ballots so that he can win those awards. And that guy never had the balls to show up to collect some of them. He only was there for like a few minutes, and then he went back to doing something. Bullshit. And the time of my cancellation during that incident with my ex co-host, I was nominated for a couple of awards myself for my show, best entertainment show. I was going to be nominated for best entertainment show and best entertainment variety program and best in show, which I knew I wouldn't have an opportunity to win. But that ballot got disqualified because of that incident. So I wasn't allowed at the studio. I wasn't allowed to be nominated. I wasn't even allowed to be a presenter. What they did call, but however, they called me up one day and gave my father a lifetime an achievement award, and they wanted me to be the presenter for him. I was pissed. I said, "Well, you guys didn't want me to be. You guys took my ballot. Why should I even be took away my ballot? I should have just, if I had the balls to do so, I probably should have said. I said I'll only go there if I get renominated for best entertainment show. That's the only way I'm ever going to get. That's the only way you're ever going to see me there because I won't do it. I should have said that." But I sold out, and I shouldn't have. I understand that my father was getting a very special award. I understand that, and I respect that. I really do. But I still feel even to this day, I still feel like I sold out. I really do. I would. I should have gotten something. I should have gotten something to compensate for being, you know, a well respected. Even though what I did on my show was just a shtick, a gimmick. Off camera, I was a very respectful guy. I was respectful to everybody that came in and out of that studio. I should have had something for my trouble. I should have gotten something for my trouble. Like at least a nomination back in there. A nomination for Best Entertainment. Because I know that Best in Show I wouldn't get because it was a very political aspect. But when I did come back officially, I swallowed my pride. I bottled everything up inside. I had everything. I bottled everything up, and I'm glad I was able to share this shoot with you because I feel that this is what it is, a shoot. But sometimes I wonder that even though I gave everybody a lot of respect over there, that how much a lot of people in that studio really, really respects me. And a lot of people did far more worse things than I ever did. And look where they are. They're canceled and banned from the studio. Me, I was pissed. I was literally pissed. But I still showed up to do a show to make an ass out of myself for 28 minutes. And even when I returned, I still felt like I sold out because of the fact of how I was treated. And I know it's not the studio's fault per se. I think because of the politics that were going on that involved them, people telling the studio what to do, people that had no excuse me, people that had no place to talk or say or do was probably the real reason why I'm not back at that studio doing the show. So maybe my director who left probably did the right call, which is why I'm not mad at him, at my director at that time. But I feel that it was a calling card to do the stuff that I feel passionate about and to say and to get off whatever's on my chest and display it to all you fans out there in YouTube land. And for that, I thank you. Because I can be as wild and crazy as I want to be within reason. I understand there's some limitations, which is why you don't hear music on my show, which is why you don't see me naked on this show, which is why you don't see me touching myself. Within reason. See, a little while ago, I was doing this, not doing this. There, that's better. Hey, I have to be anatomically correct now, folks. I have to be anatomically correct. And I know I wanted to do the show for an hour, but with me airing out my frustration on a lot of things and pretty much get to know a little bit more about me and where I came from, I think the little extra time was worth it. I really do. Because like I said, this is your show. I know I'm the host and everything like that, but this is a chance to everybody to just sit down and relax and unwind and have a great time. And this is pretty much all I want to do. Talking about shit that matters. Without all the political bullshit that goes on. This is why we have a good time. I mean, if you want to talk about people, let's talk about soccer. Go USA. I hope they win. But probably by the time this gets out, I probably much trolled myself. Open up for a troll, if you will, and say, "Oh, they already lost." How the fuck am I supposed to know that? First of all, I don't watch soccer. The only football I do watch is when the NFL hits again. And but hey, USA is looking pretty good this year, and I'm glad for that. Tough team to work with, and I think that hey, even if they don't, even if they don't make it to the World Cup or lose at the World Cup, you know what? Hey, they're still winners to me and every American here because hey, got a lot to show for it. And there's nothing political about this show unless, of course, there's something that really needs to be brought up that involves politics that would piss me off that I would address on this show and do another shoot like I just did about where I came from. But this is what I love to do. I love to talk about anything in the world of pop culture. Music, sports, movies, television, video games, you name it, I will talk about it. Even if it involves insertion. Somewhere, someone's spitting their drink through their nose. After what I just said, with the utmost confidence. But it's true. Gonna have fun with this tonight. I'm glad that we were able to have fun tonight. Do a laid back thing because you know what? Hey, I just pretty much dropped a bomb on everybody last time, and just talking about E3, and I had a little bit of rust, but hey, I was glad to and I felt a little rusty at the beginning of the show, but business started to pick up later on when I started airing out my frustrations with the studio, and I love that. I love that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for the studio, but you know what? Just the way that I feel, I should have been treated lot better than I should have. I should have walked out with some sort of. I really did. I should have. And I think it's something that that I definitely deserve after putting my commitment towards there. Because when I first started out in cable access, I wasn't even hosting a show. I was just a shy little cameraman who just sat right there at the camera, just not even a wave. Wave. I was in seventh grade when I was involved with cable access, and they were impressed because I was the youngest individual ever to understand their graphic system, which was called the Video Poster, and they still have it to this. They still have it to this day. But I am glad that you know I'm able to share this with everyone because nobody really knows who the hell I am, and I know by next week everyone's going to be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" I'm just going to watch him be an idiot, make a fool out of himself on YouTube because it's just so crazy. He's just sitting there dormant for I don't know how long, for about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. But it is something that I like to do. And I hope it's something that you like to do as well. And that's sit here and comment and like and share on my Facebook page and hit subscribe right there in the corner, right there. And then maybe share it with your friends right there. It's something that everyone loves to do. And comment down below. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Can't cut that out. but but it is something that I love. I love and feel cherished about. And you know what? Just share what you have. Just share what you have on your mind. You know. Questions, comments. Feel free to comment down in the comments below, or on my Facebook page, or on my Twitter. Have I'll post it in the comments section, or over here. But it is something that I love to do, and I don't want to change that for anyone. I really don't, because this is me. This is who I am, and what I have is important. If you don't have the balls to do or say anything, then there's no way to survive. This is Tom Dog 247. I'm glad that you're able to be here on this exciting episode of Channel S. Next week we're going to have fun. As I said earlier, I'm a wrestling fan. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the upcoming WWE pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. Predictions all around. We're going to have some fun with it. Until then, this is Tom Dog 247 saying, take care, so long,